What is the future of the offensive line? Is this you alluded to it earlier. You said get rid of Lake and Tomlinson, get rid of Weston Richburg. You start there, right?
Yeah, you got to start there, man, because you got to clear cap space with 25 unrestricted free agents. I mean, you got to look at it as a prioritization list. And with your GM, John Lynch, you got to make the hard, tough decisions. And the offensive line is already in shambles. So I would just clean house because you have to resign who? Middle linebacker Fred Warner. We've been saying it since day one, bro. Like, you have to resign the quarterback of the defense. You have to. I don't care how you get it done. You got to get it done. At the expense of other players, so be it. But middle linebacker Fred Warner is the heart and soul of the defense. He's the number one middle linebacker in the NFL. You need to clear up cap space on the offensive line in order to retain him first. Because if you don't have Fred Warner, now you're in a deeper hole. And fans will go ape crap if they lose to Forrest Buckner and Fred Warner in back-to-back seasons.
Can't lose Warner. Not going to happen.
Hope so.
Yeah, they can't let it happen. Can't let it happen. Yeah. So yeah, the two highest paid guys, Richburg and Lakin, got to go. Trent Williams, do you bring him back?
I don't see how they can, Grant, because what is he at? $12.9 million this year? He's going to ask for at least that much, and
he's going to ask for way more than that.
Yeah,
he's going to ask for 18.
There you go, 18 million. So if you're looking at whatever that number is, it's definitely more than, in around that 15 million range. Where's the money going to come from? It doesn't grow on trees again. So he has to go because there's no money. You have no money.
Yeah.
You have no money.
Now, look, Justin School looks awful this year. Mike McGlinchey looks awful this year. But to be fair, I'm going to mute you real quick because I hear myself a little bit. But to be fair, they lost Joe Staley this year, which I think is kind of like losing the offensive line coach. I think he was the one who would keep every guy accountable in terms of their weight, their training, and their play. I think he'd be the one to say, you need to step it up. And I don't think Trent Williams has that type of investment on this team. So losing Staley, one, and then not having OTAs and minicamp where these guys could be around a training staff and they all had to do things on their own, I think it's clear that they blew it. I think maybe if Joe Staley had been able to monitor them and babysit Mike McGlinchey and say, you got to do these workouts, you got to eat this much a day, then they would have been fine. But what we saw is Mike McGlinchey basically blow his quarantine training regimen. And you know what? Fair enough. It must have been really tough. And I'm sure some players did better with that than others. Maybe next year, if he has a full offseason with the Niners training, maybe I wouldn't give up on McGlinchey just yet because he's been so much worse this year than the past couple of years. I never really liked him, but I'd like to see him maybe like put on 10 pounds of muscle and get back to what he used to be before you just give up on him.
Yeah, I mean, funny story. When I was in the locker room, Mike McGlinchey's rookie year, he looks at me and says, how do I get arms like that? And I said, come train with me, bro. And he was actually serious. He looked at me like, are you being serious right now? Like, for real? Like, I can train with you? So that's a story with Mike McGlinchey and myself that we had in the locker room, and we were just talking back and forth. But getting to your point, without a proper off-season program, it's really hard for the professional players to really get in fine-tune and in game shape with no preseason and no proper OTAs, no training camp, because what you're doing, Grant, is being in the industry and being a professional athlete requires certain things. Stretching is first and foremost. So you see a lot of ACL tears, right? Well, a lot of soft tissue injuries are occurring, and that's because these players were so accustomed and trained because of the muscle memory over the course of the years. Okay, January to February is usually when I take the time off, and then we jumpstart it back in March. Well, everything was expedited, or either expedited and you're doing your own workouts without your own strength coach, personal coach, because as you know, you can't work with the actual coach during the off season. And when you don't have that, someone to guide you in that direction or tell you, like you just said, the dietary formula that you need to take to maintain your gains, you're just going to regress. And then on top of that, when you step onto the field, running side field, seeing these drills on Instagram and all these things that they're running and cutting, well, you're going to injure yourself because if you don't have a coach or someone that's there to guide you along the way, injuries are going to
mess something up.
Yeah.
Look at the two hardest working Niners on the team, the two hardest workers in the weight room, Nick Bosa, George Kittle.
Yeah.
Injured.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Bosa tore at ACL, George Kittle, non-contact foot fracture. I'm not saying it's because of their off-season work regimen. I'm not saying it's not. It's just interesting. The only player on this team who really got the most out of quarantine lifting is Fred Warner. That guy looked like he'd been with the Niners training staff. He really didn't blow that. But George Kittle, hard to say. Nick Bosa, we'll never know. I mean, they mean well. They work out hard, but working out hard isn't the same as working out smart, the way you would with professionals monitoring you. Also, as an amateur lifter myself, as someone who goes in the gym every once in a while, I can imagine that you would work out much harder if someone's monitoring you than if you're on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with my coach, when I hit with my coach, when I train and when I'm on prep for my show, I train a lot differently. Now, my mindset's still the same. You're still going 110%, but the reps and the sets and the name of gains and the rest periods, you have to have a coach to guide you because you're doing heavy lifting, you're doing hypertrophy, you're doing a lot of strength training exercises in between those sets. You're trying to build up your blood flow to maximize the blood flow. And in order to do that, you have to have the right supplements during your workout, after your workout, and before your workout in order to maintain those gains. And without a proper coaching regimen to get you to that point, you're doing yourself a disservice and injuries will occur.
Right. So what I'd like to say with McGlinchey is you really can't give up on him. They spent a first-round pick on him. They get no cap savings by moving on. They're invested. They got to figure this out. He's clearly 10 pounds underweight or not strong enough. They need to reinvest in his physical fitness. But at the same time, they need to have a plan B. And the plan B can't be like Jonathan Martin. The plan B has to be someone who is like an NFL caliber starter, not just a guy you kind of like Colton McKivitz or Justin School. So they got to figure something out, man. And to me, like, it almost doesn't matter what quarterback they bring in next year, what upgrade they try to make at that position, if they're still going to trot out Tom Compton and Laken Tomlinson. Jimmy Garoppolo's injury came from Laken Tomlinson missing a block, who is the McKittrick Award winner.
There you go. So,
yep.
Yeah. So
they got to figure that out.